Well, good morning and welcome to this month's free Friday webinars. We, as Inspiring Solutions, do this each month as a way of providing some inspiration and motivation. And boy, now is it ever needed. My name is Michelle Mott, and I have had the company for almost 30 years now. And our topic for this month is called Agility, the new mindset for our virtual worker. And as you can hear, I am working from my home, and usually my dogs are quiet, but today I think I'm working their patience, so I apologize for one of them barking. If you have any technical difficulties, please call the number at the bottom of the screen, 515-208-4393. Dana is standing by or sitting by to help any technical difficulties you might have, as well as provide you with the handout material. We are doing this live on Facebook. So for those that are joining us for the first time on Facebook, we want you to keep in touch. So if you have not used Zoom before, it's a growing platform that organizations are using to not only communicate within the organization, but families and friends are using it. You can zoom in and zoom out, make the screen as large as you like, whether it's on your computer, whether it's on your phone. Hopefully you're hearing me. You've got two options to either listen in through your computer audio, or you can call in at the number given on the email, or if not, the phone number is listed there, 312-626-6799, and then they'll ask for an ID, which is 806-996-398. We also want to make it interactive. So for those that are registered, if you want to interact by using the chat box at the bottom, change the drop down to be all panelists and attendees. And then we'd love for you to answer some of the questions that I'm going to answer throughout our 30 minutes. Feel free to ask any question at any time. And at the end, I've allocated some time for Dana to chime in and ask those questions. In case you're not familiar with Inspiring Solutions, for almost 30 years, most of our work has been delivering organizational leadership development, employee engagement services through training on site. But since the coronavirus, we are now much more online. In fact, I haven't had to travel over the last month, which has been a nice stay at home. But what I'm telling you is that anything that we have done in the past on site with organizations, we are now offering to deliver it online, because I think this might eventually come out with the need for online education, and we want to make sure that we stay in touch and help you, whether you're working virtually or eventually back in the office. So why do we have these monthly webinars? Well, we found that people need some motivation. So it's kind of our fun way of delivering some monthly motivation and expose you to one of our inspiring programs or products. Today, we're going to explain to you what are the 8 mindsets for emotional intelligence. We are so excited. This is a brand new program. It helps you measure your comfort with change. You know, the world has truly been upside down. And so what a great time to think about measuring how adaptive are you when faced with change. And then finally, one of the things that it will help promote is your ability to be agile and survive and thrive in today's virtual workplace. The handouts, as I mentioned, we've got 2 that we'd like for you to have, and if you don't, let us know. There's a sample profile, so you can get an idea of what a profile looks like. Second handout includes 2 pages. One is a program description. We will offer this to your organization, customized it, have everybody in your organization fill it out, and we can actually do it as a team building exercise. So if you're looking for a fun virtual team building exercise, please let us know. And then secondly, we want you to stay involved with future webinars. We usually do them once a month, but next week we're going to do one just as an extra dose of virtual education. And afterwards, when you close out of the webinar, you'll be asked to fill out an evaluation. And please take a couple minutes and let us know about what you thought about the topic, the experience, so we can continue to meet your needs and interests. Well, 5 weeks ago, we were probably one of those significant emotional events our world was rocked. You'll probably know exactly where you were or what was going on. I remember specifically March 16th was a Monday, and Dana and I got together and decided, you know what, are we going to sit back and figure out what's going to happen? Or do we want to figure out how best can we be proactive? Some of you may have learned that you're being deployed and are now going to have to work from home for a duration of time. Many of you have kids, spouses that you now are sharing 24 hours a day with. And our shopping experience has definitely changed. You know, commodities are not what they used to be. So everyone is infected personally and professionally. So when I think about agility, I Googled it and it basically came up with a definition, your ability to adapt. Agility is the ability to do that even if it's difficult. I asked one of my neighbors who actually races in agility courses, and this is a picture of her husband, Alan, and their dog, Jenny, AKA Genuine Risk, competing in the world competition. And it's amazing how quickly, first of all, Alan had to learn the course within about 15 minutes, and then giving commands, how quickly Jenny picked up on his commands. But the last part that I want to use as a correlation is building an agile organization starts with developing an emotional intelligence. Your organization will no longer be what it used to be. You probably had to change policies, procedures, obviously the way in which you communicate with each other. So we want to help you build your emotional intelligence. By definition, emotional intelligence is your ability to read the emotional and interpersonal needs of a situation and respond appropriately. Now, why that's important? IQ is not a predictor of success in life and work. Even your past business success does not guarantee, once we get back into the new normal, that it will continue as it once was. EQ is so critical to success that it accounts for 58% of performance in all types of jobs. So whether you're working in healthcare, insurance, banking, agriculture, manufacturing, EQ is critical to your success. 90% of top performers have a high emotional intelligence. Mastering skills in your job is also very important, but the ultimate skill is emotional intelligence. And the good news is, just like learning new skills, you can learn how to improve your emotional intelligence. And people with high emotional intelligence usually make great leaders and team players. Emotional intelligence affects work performance, your relationships with coworkers, if you're a manager, with your team, ultimately with your customers or clients, patients, whatever you refer to them as. It also affects your physical health. You know, when you think about marathon runners, do you push through it? Do you work through some of the doubts or fears that you might face in not being able to make the 26 miles? Mental health. Now, granted, we are continuously challenged to stay fresh, stay motivated, especially during the COVID-19. And finally, relationships, whether it's professional relationships at work with coworkers or family and friends in your personal life. There are 5 skills of emotional intelligence, and we're not going to go deep in those 5 areas like we are in the 8 mindsets, but today I wanted to at least give you an awareness of what those skills are. The first 2 relate to yourself. Personal competency, such as your self-awareness, how you feel, what you're thinking about. Second is your motivation. You know, when we've done research about virtually working from home, we've asked people what have been some of the greatest challenges, and some say the motivation. You know, when you're the only person at home, it's hard to get up and get motivated like you once were when you had to go into the office. The other 3 relate to social competencies. In other words, how empathetic are you of other situations? And that's one of the mindsets, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Social skills, how willing and able are you to ask questions, give people information that they need in a conversation or a job. And then the final is self-regulation. In what ways are you able to self-regulate your thoughts, your comments, and actions based on a situation? Voila. Wiley, which we've been an authorized partner now for almost the 30 years we've been in business, has launched a brand new Everything DiSC profile called Agile EQ. We were a part of the beta testing, and we are delighted to give it to you. I couldn't think of a better time to use this than right now. For those of you who are not familiar with these kind of assessments, it's not a test. It's not something that you can pass or fail. It's going to basically give you a baseline measurement. And with this application, it's going to measure your emotional intelligence. I've never experienced a tool like this before. It's broken up into 3 parts. The first is your current mindset. It'll identify 3 mindsets that are fairly natural for you, instinctive, if you would. The second part will identify what are the other mindsets that you need to consider learning more about. And then the third part is more action planning, asking you to think about in what ways could you stretch your mindset or your emotional intelligence and use other mindsets. So to introduce the Agile EQ, I want to share with you a short video that I think you'll understand. While you're watching it, I want you to think about your style, your mindset, and afterwards in the chat box, I'd like for you to tell me what style you feel you are.
We all have abilities that come naturally to us, certain skills or mindsets that are so second nature, so effortless. Using them feels like riding a bike. For Ava, that's keeping her cool when everyone around her is stressing out, or setting aside her own preferences long enough to really consider other points of view. Those are both kinds of emotional intelligence, but they aren't the only ones. Because the truth is, there are many different ways to be good at handling emotional and social situations, and people have different natural strengths. So, what are yours? That's where Agile EQ comes in. Using a tool called Everything DiSC, Agile EQ provides a simple way to understand yourself and the kinds of emotional intelligence that may come naturally to you. Everything DiSC describes 4 main styles. People with a D or dominant style are typically direct and firm. Their emotional intelligence really shines when they need to project confidence and persuade others. And they're usually good at speaking up for themselves. Those with an I or influence style are generally outgoing and enthusiastic. They're naturals at making connections wherever they go. And they tap into the energy in a room by paying attention to how people are feeling. People with an S or steadiness style are usually even-tempered and accommodating. They often excel at understanding where other people are coming from, and their calm, flexible approach helps keep conversations harmonious and collaborative. And finally, those with a C or conscientiousness style are typically analytical and reserved. Their EQ strengths involve stepping back and separating facts from their personal feelings, and they're often good at showing restraint, even in tense situations. You might have one of these styles or a blend of 2, like Ava, whose SC style means she has a combination of S and C traits. The strengths associated with that part of the DiSC map are probably easiest and most natural for her. But what about when Ava needs to, say, network with strangers or confront a coworker about a problem? In situations like these, she may have to reach for skills that don't come as naturally. And if she can't do that or doesn't think to try, that can create problems for her. Because sometimes our instinctive patterns don't work and actually end up boxing us in. Drawing on the principles of emotional intelligence, Agile EQ helps us discover our natural tendencies and recognize when to move beyond those familiar patterns. And that's what allows us to act, adapting to whatever situation we're facing. And that ability to adapt, to reach for a wider variety of responses, it's called agility. It's about stretching beyond our comfort zones when what's instinctive for us isn't enough. It means developing the flexibility to respond to different situations with the best possible approach, not just the one that's easiest. And really, the more agile we are in our responses, the more emotionally intelligent we become. And that empowers us to achieve things we never believed were possible, to enrich our relationships, and even to engage with the world in a new way.
All right, if you know or have done the profile before and know what your DiSC style is, or if you guess based on what you learned, please type that in the chat box. We'd love to know kind of the flavor of our registrants today. So I'm going to give you an overview of the profile, which was the handout. I'm not going to follow it page by page, but I at least today want to give you an understanding of its value. Like the video said, there's 3 parts. First of all, discover what your natural mindset is. Secondly, recognize that there are other mindsets that you could consider using when appropriate. And the third is to help you to learn how to take action on others that might not come as naturally to you. Just a brief overview of the DiSC model. D stands for dominance, I for influence, S for steadiness, and C, conscientiousness. Now, we've used this for as long as we've had our business, and I want to make sure that people don't feel as though we're labeling people. What we find is that language changes culture. And as we work with organizations that want to improve their culture, DiSC is a great way to develop an understanding of each other and oneself. So in the profile, you'll see that each person will be represented by a dot. The dot location does have a particular meaning. In other words, how close it is to the edge. On the example shown here, you'll see that the dot is on the edge, which means that there's a lot of energy put into that particular mindset. If it's closer to the center of the circle, that meant that that person is able to flex their mindset, depending on the circumstance. And if it is within a particular section or sections, you'll see that in each of the quadrants, there are 3 slices. It could be a pure style, D, I, S, or C, or it could be a combination. In this case, a combination I, S. On the next page in your profile, if you are following along, you'll see that the 8 mindsets are introduced. One is dynamic, outgoing, empathizing, receptive, composed, objective, resolute, and self-assured. We're going to dig deeper into each here in a moment. One of the tools that it'll help you with is to identify how natural or how difficult it will be for you to use each mindset. So using this continuum, you'll see that further to the left means that it's not going to take much effort. That mindset comes very naturally to you. It's instinctive. On the other hand, if it's on the right side of the continuum, it's going to take a lot of energy. It's not going to come as easily to you to demonstrate a particular mindset, or like this example, right in the middle. So let's learn about each of the mindsets. The first is dynamic. That means you are initiating action on your ideas, influencing people, and projecting a strong social presence. I happen to be a dynamic mindset, which means that I can get in front of a large group, whether it's on site or hopefully online, and demonstrate energy that hopefully causes you or others to take action. It's used when you persuade others, when you want to promote an idea or make an impression. The second mindset is outgoing. This is establishing and maintaining relationships and expressing your emotions and unfiltered thoughts to others. This one is natural for Dana. She's a high I, and so one of the ways that she really enjoys is networking. So establishing new relationships, meeting new others, whether it's from a professional or a personal perspective. Networking. Dana really enjoys going to Chamber of Commerce meetings or functions, professional associations, and generating enthusiasms for team spirit. The third mindset is empathizing. Empathizing is when you're reaching out with compassion, seeking to understand people's emotional needs and struggles, and being supportive. You know, now more than ever, are you needing to demonstrate this mindset? You know, in past, in the workplace, you used to ask people, hey, how's it going? How do you feel? How you doing? And it would be kind of a flippant comment that you really weren't expecting or even paying attention to. But I was part of a HR panel, and they were saying now more than ever, when that question is asked, people really want to know, how are you? How is your family? Because there really is a genuine concern for other people. It might also be appropriate when you want to respect others or calming their fears and their emotions. A lot of my friends that have kids say that their kids are really concerned about this whole COVID-19. So again, helping them calm their emotions and fears. The fourth mindset is called receptive. This is when you stay open to others' ideas and are willing to set aside your ideas or preferences to consider theirs. It would be appropriate to use that when you want to consider other people's ideas. Help others feel heard and valued. And finally, when you want to promote trust and collaboration. The recent example that I can think of is when we first thought about changing the topic for our upcoming webinars to focus on helping the virtual workplace. And both Dana and I had great ideas. In fact, our philosophy is to look for the third solution, because typically her idea and my idea might not be the same, but if we can understand each of the ideas, we can find a third solution that's even better than each of our own. The fifth mindset is composed. What this means is you are reflecting before acting, moderating your responses, especially under stress, and exercising diplomacy. My immediate thought when I'm thinking about this is many of you might have a household, might have a household of kids, significant others. I know some friends have even had their parents move in with them because they want to take care of them. Well, you might need to demonstrate this composed mindset because it's appropriate when you want to avoid a rash decision in the heat of a moment or de-escalating tension. And I know when you've got a household that's been cooped up for a while, there can be some tension, and keeping calm around you. The sixth is objective. When you use this, you are separating the facts from the emotions and keeping the discussion focused on logic. I think that the world with social media and our news broadcasts has done an amazing job of keeping people informed about the statistics, the stats. You know, we are always in the morning watching about what's going on in New York City. However, I don't want you to always get bogged down into watching news, you know, the hours that you are awake. You've got a limit. We only watch it 1 hour. It tends to be during the dinner time when we're creating dinner. We turn it off when we're having dinner, but limit yourself so that you don't get too wrapped up. It's important to know and understand and take appropriate action, but don't let it consume your emotions. So it would be appropriate to be objective when you need to step back from your emotions. You know, this whole COVID-19 is what it is. It's nasty. I hope that we will have a much better, stronger, united country as a result of it. Avoid your biases. Now, this is when you might label people or situations, and being objective helps you to gain insights into other people's emotions. You know, asking the question why. You know, why do you feel that way? The seventh mindset is that what's called resolute. This is when you stand your ground in the face of opposition, speaking up about problems and pushing through resistance. Defending your ideas or standing up to strong personalities. If you're a D, you know, this might be hard for you to do because typically you're the strong personality. And protecting your time. You know, that's all in the end we have. And so one of the things that we talk about in the managing a virtual team is to make time to intentionally and creatively communicate with other people. And so you might be met with resistance, but now more than ever, do you need to schedule weekly virtual meetings or daily chats? Dan and I have been talking every morning because the world has been changing so quickly. And then the last mindset is that of self-assured. This is when you're asserting your opinions and rights, projecting confidence in your ideas and abilities, and taking charge of situations. You know, with the whole coronavirus, we really didn't have time to think. We had to act so quickly. Our motto over the last 5 weeks has been, we've been building the plane while it's taking off. We didn't have time to do research. I mean, we definitely asked for feedback. And when we launched our first program, what are some of the challenges so we could be responsive? But there were no best practices. We couldn't rely on our past experience through the years, personally and professionally, to get us through this transition. So it might be appropriate to be self-assured when you're making a case for a course of action, making your own needs known, and when leading a team or a project. You know, nothing is forever. I'm always willing to try something, but we always debrief. Even after this webinar, we debrief what worked. What would we want to keep? What do we want to change? So those are the 8 mindsets. I would love for you, those that registered, to type in the chat box which one you feel comes naturally to you and which one might you need to do more of because of the state that you're in right now, whether it be personally or professionally. Then later in the profile, once you've learned more about your mindset, there is a snapshot, and I love infographics. On page 8 in the profile is a customized snapshot indicating what your emotional intelligence strengths are, what your effects naturally are to other people, and what you need to power or fuel your emotional intelligence. And again, by completing this profile, you'll get your very own profile. And I've got a special offer for those of you. Hang on, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to complete one on your own. The last part talks about how can you take appropriate action. So page 26 is a form where you can actually fill in 2 mindsets that you'd like to learn how to stretch and demonstrate. It might take more energy, but it will help you to become more aware of and expand your emotional intelligence. So I know that went fairly quickly, but hopefully you've understood the value of emotional intelligence, and we'd encourage you to consider completing this profile for yourself and even offering it for your team. So the other handout we gave you has 2 pages. One is this description of the program that can be delivered both on site or as a webinar, as I would suggest probably as a 60-minute webinar. Every employee or every team member would be given a profile to fill out. Dana would administer that just like she did this webinar. And then the live customized would be a Zoom discussion with your team. So if you're looking for a fun team building exercise with your virtual team, I encourage you to reach out to inspiringsolutions.com. The other page we gave you is the flyer that has our upcoming webinar topics. And as I mentioned, we are doing a special one this coming Wednesday. Usually they're once a month on a Friday, but we want to take advantage of your free time, perhaps, and give you some additional resources to help you manage a virtual team. So I would encourage you not only to register, but get your whole team to register for this. It'd be a fun way to spend 30 minutes on Wednesday, April 22nd, 9, 10, or 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. For those of you watching us on Facebook Live, we'll do this again at 11 o'clock, so join us. We also want to encourage you to experience the Agile EQ profile for yourself. On May 14th or June 9th, July 13th, and August 13th, Wiley will be offering a showcase from 11 to 12 o'clock Central Time. You do, however, need to register. So go out to our website, Everything DiSC, to register, or contact us and we can get you registered. but it'll give you a chance to experience the profile for yourself. But again, if you don't want to wait, we'll be happy to, you can go out to our website and order it for yourself. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Your feedback on this experience does matter. Take some time as you close out of the Zoom webinar. Give us your feedback, even suggestions. I'll open it up for if anybody wants to stay afterwards. Even, I don't know if we can do it through the live Facebook chat, but if you'd like to ask any questions, we would be willing to stay on. I want to thank Dana for making technology work. I want to thank all of you for tuning in, and please, please stay home and stay healthy.